Hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Today, I'll take you on a journey to the countryside, where winding dirt roads stretch beneath the shade of bamboo groves swaying in the wind, where fruit orchards hang heavy with sweet harvests, and where bustling village markets overflow with laughter and warm greetings. Here, we don't just witness the simple, rustic beauty of daily life, but also the strength of love, resilience, and heartfelt kindness rooted in a peaceful land. The main characters of today's story are lythica, a single mother who has endured many hardships, and Hung, a dedicated police officer who always puts the safety of the people first. After weathering many storms, the two finally celebrated a small, humble wedding filled with happiness. It was the fruit of true love, mutual understanding, and unwavering support. But life is never smooth. Their joy was short-lived when lythica suffered the heartbreaking loss of a miscarriage, shattering her hopes for a brighter future. In the days that followed, she was frail and silent in her grief, moving everyone who saw her. Yet, with Hung's encouragement and her own strength, she rose again, returning to her daily work, gradually regaining her smile and her faith in life. While lythica worked to restore peace to their little home, Hung faced an even greater challenge. He was assigned to investigate a smuggling ring that had begun infiltrating the countryside. At first, it seemed like an ordinary case, but the deeper he dug, the more he uncovered the ruthless and dangerous nature of the criminals. Then, in one fateful pursuit, Hung fell into their ambush, violently attacked and left teetering between life and death. The once tranquil village suddenly became shrouded in dread. The evening wind through the bamboo groves, the worried glances of the villagers, everything hinted at an impending disaster. Meanwhile, lythica anxiously awaited her husband's return, unaware that Hung was fighting for his very life. Sparkles, will Hung have the strength and courage to overcome this deadly storm? Will his love for lythica, along with the unity of the villagers, be enough to bring him home safely? Or will this trial leave behind an unhealable wound? Join me in today's video to experience the full range of emotions, from peace and happiness to suspense and heartbreak, in the turbulent journey of lythica and Hung. Hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Today, I'll take you on a journey to the countryside, where winding dirt roads stretch beneath the shade of bamboo groves swaying in the wind, where fruit orchards hang heavy with sweet harvests, and where bustling village markets overflow with laughter and warm greetings. Here, we don't just witness the simple, rustic beauty of daily life, but also the strength of love, resilience, and heartfelt kindness rooted in a peaceful land. The main characters of today's story are lythica, a single mother who has endured many hardships, and Hung, a dedicated police officer who always puts the safety of the people first. After weathering many storms, the two finally celebrated a small, humble wedding filled with happiness. It was the fruit of true love, mutual understanding, and unwavering support. But life is never smooth. Their joy was short-lived when lythica suffered the heartbreaking loss of a miscarriage, shattering her hopes for a brighter future. In the days that followed, she was frail and silent in her grief, moving everyone who saw her. Yet, with Hung's encouragement and her own strength, she rose again, returning to her daily work, gradually regaining her smile and her faith in life. While lythica worked to restore peace to their little home, Hung faced an even greater challenge. He was assigned to investigate a smuggling ring that had begun infiltrating the countryside. At first, it seemed like an ordinary case, but the deeper he dug, the more he uncovered the ruthless and dangerous nature of the criminals. Then, in one fateful pursuit, Hung fell into their ambush, violently attacked and left teetering between life and death. The once tranquil village suddenly became shrouded in dread. The evening wind through the bamboo groves, the worried glances of the villagers, everything hinted at an impending disaster. Meanwhile, lythica anxiously awaited her husband's return, unaware that Hung was fighting for his very life. Will Hung have the strength and courage to overcome this deadly storm? Will his love for Haica, along with the unity of the villagers, be enough to bring him home safely? Or will this trial leave behind an unhealable wound? Join me in today's video to experience the full range of emotions, from peace and happiness to suspense and heartbreak, in the turbulent journey of Haica and Hung. As dawn broke, the countryside awakened from a long night's stillness. The first rays of sunlight slipped through the bamboo groves at the gate, glimmering on the damp dirt road still heavy with dew. Roosters crowed in the distance, mingling with the occasional barking of dogs and the jingling sound of an old bicycle being pushed toward the fields. The whole scene seemed wrapped in a fresh cloak of life, pure and vibrant. Haica, wearing her conical hat, walked leisurely behind Mother Ha, whose every step carried the quiet diligence of years. The bamboo baskets in their hands creaked softly in rhythm with their footsteps on the moist earth. The morning breeze carried with it the fragrance of flowers and the earthy scent of soil, making their hearts feel light. As they walked, the mother spoke gently, her voice warm yet filled with worry. "Remember to take your medicine regularly, my child. Your health has just stabilized, don't be careless. Health is everything. If you fall ill again, who will I have to lean on?" Haica smiled tenderly and nodded. Her hands carefully picked the ripest dragon fruits, plump, red, their shiny skins glowing pink under the morning sun. Though traces of fatigue still lingered on her face from past hardships, her eyes now carried the sparkle of hope and strength. Her gentle smile eased the worry in her mother's eyes. The mother plucked one fruit, peeled it, and took a bite. The sweetness filled her tongue, making her exclaim, "Heavens, it's so sweet. Nothing compares to the fruit grown on our own land." Their laughter rang out, clear and bright, filling the orchard with joy. Even the dragon fruit branches heavy with fruit seemed to sway along with their happiness. Before long, the baskets were full. Haica adjusted her old conical hat and carried the load to the market. Her figure gradually disappeared down the narrow path, leaving behind the sound of her mother's knife chopping branches and the rustling leaves. At the village market, Haica's voice echoed, bright yet gentle. "Who would like some ripe dragon fruit? Fresh from the garden, sweet and juicy." Passers-by stopped, intrigued. The sight of the glowing, ruby-red fruits was irresistible. With her warm, sincere words, the fruit sold out quickly. She carefully folded the small bills into her cloth pouch, her heart filled with simple yet complete joy. Meanwhile, Mother Ha had gone alone into the forest. With a small knife in hand, she walked slowly along a leaf-strewn path. The sound of the wind through the trees and the cooing of doves blended into a familiar song for a woman who had spent her life close to the mountains and plants. Her experienced eyes quickly recognized each medicinal plant: purple holly leaves for stomach pain, bone vine for rheumatism, strong clumps of cogon grass roots for diuretics. She carefully dug roots and plucked leaves, thinking of the villagers who might find relief from these simple remedies. Fortune smiled when she discovered, in a small ravine, a rare wild banana cluster, its heavy green fruit said by folklore to cure kidney stones. Her heart leapt with joy as she strapped the cluster to her back, feeling as though she had found a treasure. By noon, the sun was high as she laid her load on the brickyard. She carefully stripped, chopped, and spread the banana parts on a bamboo tray to dry. The earthy fragrance of the forest leaves spread through the courtyard. Just then, Haica returned from the market. Seeing her mother busy, she rolled up her sleeves and joined in. Together they washed, chopped, and neatly arranged the herbs to dry in the sun. As they worked, Mother Ha shared her lifetime of knowledge: which leaves treated coughs, which roots eased back pain, which herbs restored the body. Haica listened intently, eyes bright with curiosity and gratitude. She thought to herself that this wisdom was not only precious for their family, but also a gift to preserve and pass down for generations. The courtyard was alive with peace, the sound of chopping mingled with cheerful chatter, birdsong fluttered over the tiled roof, the pungent scent of herbs blended with the aroma of drying straw. It was a portrait of village life, simple yet rich with maternal love and human warmth, so serene that anyone who witnessed it would feel their heart grow calm. In a rotten wooden house tucked beneath the forest, an oil lamp guttered, its yellow light cutting through the thin haze of smoke and painting the gaunt faces inside. The air was thick with the smell of mildew, tobacco, and the iron tang of old shoulder poles. The rustle of leaves outside the porch set a soundtrack for a night that would not be peaceful. The boss, a big man, scarred on hands and legs, eyes sharp as knives, slammed his fist down on the wooden table. The bang sounded like thunder in the room. He muttered, his voice coarse and cold, "The last shipment is gone. Where's this month's profit?" The police closed off the checkpoints, heavy losses. Who's going to take responsibility? A silence followed, then the underlings around the table began to whisper. There were sighs and muffled curses. One senior henchman, acne-scarred, glanced toward a corner and murmured, "The big bosses out there are getting impatient, they're asking too many questions." In the dim light, another man slowly tapped his cigarette into the ashtray, eyes full of contempt as he mentioned Hung. Hung, keeps showing up and tightening the checkpoints. A few times now it's been because of him. If this keeps up, we're done for. The boss clenched his mouth, teeth grinding as if to crush them. He looked around slowly, each word a blade. Listen to me. He is a threat. Not just because of that shipment, but because that cop drags us into the light. This time, I want him to learn a lesson. He blocks our business, I'll repay him in blood. Another henchman, face like stone, suggested, don't make a scene in broad daylight. Sneak, be silent, a quick takedown, then leave. Teach him a lesson, make it sting so he remembers. His tone was casual, like discussing hiring someone to chop wood. The boss gave a thin smile, a smile like a knife, then waved his hand and said firmly, "No. I want him to understand this is life or death. Make it heavy. We lost cargo before, this time we must get it back. If he survives, he'll cause trouble. I need them to fear us, to shut up." He snatched a sheet of paper and placed it on the table. It showed a rough sketch, the route Hung usually took, his duty times, the market spot and escape route. The men's eyes fixed on the paper like starving wolves finding a meal. One of them objected soberly, "We can't just do it like that. If we strike big, more people will notice, the police will lock down and hunt us. Be discreet, leave no trace leading back to us." He flipped through figures and parceled out tasks, ambush team, people to block the road, others to arrange getaway vehicles. Everyone must know their role, whoever messes up gets dealt with. The boss nodded, face cold as ice, ambush him when he returns after dawn. At the old tree by the stream, few houses, few lights. One group restrains, another poses as passers-by to drag him out. Don't shoot unless necessary, beat him into submission, seize his papers, then feed false info to the police to send them chasing the wrong way. Create chaos to blind them. A bitter chuckle rang out. Someone asked, "What if he dies?" The question was a dare, void of hesitation. The boss replied curtly, "If he dies, fine. If not, at least he'll be badly hurt. Either way, it benefits us. But remember, make it hard to trace. Don't let any chain lead back to us." Greed lit their eyes. The plan was drawn with meticulous care, escape routes, payment methods, how to fabricate evidence. They assigned people to silence, to collect leads, to misdirect, everything scheduled like a carefully staged play. No one, not for a second, trusted conscience. Outside, the forest wind nudged the branches as if trying to hide the dark deed being conceived within the rotten house. A figure in the corner quietly tamped his cigarette, eyes small and sharp as knives. Tomorrow. Dawn. He usually goes home alone then. The boss stared into the flame, his final words a sentence: prepare carefully. This time no second chances. Do it, and I'll pay. But remember, anyone involved, consider their fate sealed. The room fell silent, save for the lamp sputter and the breaths of men about to act. The plan was set. And on the other side, so long as Hung did not know, he remained in danger. In the small meeting room behind the commune hall, the weak yellow light from a single round bulb fell across an old wooden table. It wasn't crowded like the larger meetings. This time there were only 3 people, Comrade Min, Hung, and Miss Mai. The atmosphere was quiet, only the ceiling fan creaked and the sound of pens scratching on paper could be heard. Comrade Min began, his voice thoughtful yet decisive. Today we hold a private meeting. We can't bring this before the villagers yet, we need a clear plan first. Issues like poverty reduction and road upgrades are urgent, but the most important matter right now is smuggling. It's eating away at the life of the whole commune. Hung sat upright, his eyes tense. They're getting bolder. If we don't stop them in time, the people will suffer. I've got some leads, but we must coordinate how to give information to the villagers so they understand without panicking. Miss Mai sat across from them, notebook in hand, taking notes and listening intently. Her voice still carried the slight timidity of a fresh graduate. I think to help the villagers absorb the information, we should simplify the materials and turn dry facts into relatable examples. For instance, instead of abstract talk about saving, tell a familiar story, like putting a little rice in a jar each day. That image will stick with people longer. Hung nodded, his tone softening. Exactly. Write it like that. The simpler the material, the more effective. Your task is not only to compile notes but to be a bridge between textbook knowledge and real life. I'll help you review it. Comrade Min leaned on the table and continued slowly. Not just materials. We must think about mobilizing the people. To stop early marriage, target the youth, to keep children in school, engage the whole family. Regarding smuggling, we need both public awareness campaigns and tight coordination to detect it promptly. The 3 sat together, discussing and jotting down action items. Hung listed the region's hot spots, Mai sketched concise, easy-to-understand presentation ideas. Comrade Min compiled everything into a unified plan. Though the room was modest, it carried a heavy sense of responsibility. They knew every line written, every talk given might change the lives of hundreds in this poor countryside. Under the dim yellow light, a hope for a peaceful village, one without the shadow of smugglers, began to take shape on paper, drawn by the determination of these 3 people. After plotting in the dark the night before, the smugglers decided to act at dawn the next morning. At first light, while mist still blanketed the trails, they gathered along the lonely dirt road that runs from the commune hall to the village center. That normally quiet path had been turned into a deadly trap. Thick logs were rolled across the road and propped down as obstacles. Several large stones were placed as if they had accidentally tumbled from the hill, forcing anyone who passed to stop. Along the roadside, they lay hidden behind dense shrubs, eyes glittering like predators in the dim light. Whispers and the faint clack of knives against clubs sounded, the air stretched tight as a drawn bow, waiting for prey to appear. That morning, Hung had just finished the meeting with Comrade Min and Miss Mai. After exchanging a few final words of instruction, they parted at the hall gate. Min and Mai returned toward the office, while Hung took the familiar little path home. He had no idea that the simple route was hiding a ruthless plot. The misty, silent stretch was punctuated only by a few birds chirping in the bamboo and the rustle of fallen leaves beneath his feet. Hung walked, thinking about the development plan for the people, fixing the roads, encouraging children to stay in school, and how to stop those quietly sabotaging the village's future. Then he came around a bend. His eyes fell on the massive logs blocking the way. Hung's brow tightened, the instincts of a policeman warned him something was wrong. He only had time to slow his step to inspect. Suddenly, shouts tore the hush apart as people burst from both sides of the bushes. A group surged forward, clubs raised, their faces fierce and predatory. Hung instantly took a defensive stance, the training inside him rose up. He dodged the first strike, parried by hand, and kicked a man lunging at him. But the attackers outnumbered him and held the advantage of position. Heavy blows rained down. Hung fought back with all his strength, sweat mixing with the damp mist soaking his shirt. From behind, someone swung a club and struck his temple. Hung couldn't avoid it in time. His vision flashed, blood streamed down his face. Dazed, he staggered and tried to stay on his feet for a few more seconds, but the dizziness hit hard. The shouts, the thuds of clubs, and his pounding heartbeat blended into a chaotic roar. At last, Hung collapsed to the cold ground, unconscious. A pool of blood spread around his head, vivid red against the dew-soaked earth. Seeing him lie motionless, the once brash thugs froze in panic. They glanced at one another, palms sweating cold. One stammered, "What if he's dead?" No one answered. They dumped their clubs on the roadside and fled in disarray into the forest, leaving behind nothing but chaos and a haunting sight: a soldier, an officer, lying motionless in the middle of a village road, his blood darkening the peaceful morning. The familiar village road had returned to its usual quiet, as if the skirmish had never happened. Morning light climbed higher, filtering through the leaves and casting long tree shadows across the ground. Birds chattered and the wind rustled through the bamboo, painting a peaceful scene. Yet beneath that gentle light, a painful sight remained. Hung lay motionless in the road, his shirt muddied, blood from his temple spreading across the damp earth. At that moment, hurried footsteps sounded from afar. A young, slight woman carrying a basket heavy with just picked vegetables strolled along the path. At first she was happily watching sunlight streak through the trees, softly whistling a familiar folk tune. But when her eyes fell on the figure collapsed on the ground, her smile vanished. Her basket slipped from her hands and tumbled to the roadside. Green leaves, eggplants, and a few tubers scattered with a soft clatter that struck her like thunder. Her face went pale, and her hands shook. "My God! It's Hung," she cried. She screamed in horror and rushed forward, dropping to her knees beside him. Her trembling hands shook him, then pressed to his chest to feel for a faint breath. But Hung did not answer. His eyes were closed in unconsciousness, his breathing was a thin thread about to snap. Blood kept flowing, staining the early morning mist with a vivid red streak. Panicked, the woman sprang up and ran back toward the village, tears streaming, legs quivering as she called out at the top of her lungs. Her pounding footsteps echoed along the lane, punctuated by frantic shouts. "Quick! Somebody's been beaten! Help, help!" Behind her, Hung still lay on the ground, bathed in pale morning light amid a scene that seemed peaceful yet had tragedy. Blood continued to drip from his forehead, soaking into the cold soil. Will the villagers arrive in time to pull him back from the scythe of death hanging overhead? Will the strength and love he carries in his heart be enough to hold on to life? The answer remains unknown. Stay tuned for the next episode to find out what will happen to Hung.
chào tất cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Bây giờ là khoảng tầm giờ chiều rồi và mình vừa mới hoàn thành video xong để có thể đăng tải lên cho mọi người xem vào buổi tối hôm nay. Hiện tại thì mình vẫn đang edit và chưa có hoàn thành xong, và mình vẫn đang cố gắng để có thể hoàn thành video sớm nhất có thể để có thể gửi đến mọi người. Vì sau khi quá trình hoàn thành video thì mình còn mất một quá trình để đăng tải video lên YouTube nữa. Mình vẫn luôn cố gắng có thể mang đến những video hay và bổ ích cho mọi người, và mình hy vọng rằng mọi người sẽ yêu quý kênh của mình hơn, ủng hộ cho kênh mình nhiều hơn, cũng như là sẽ để lại những ý kiến đóng góp để kênh mình có thể ngày càng hoàn thiện hơn. Bởi vì thời gian gần đây thì kênh của mình thì cái lượt xem nó cũng khá là giảm, nên là mình nghĩ là do chất lượng video cũng như là nội dung chưa có được tốt, nên mình rất mong có thể nhận được sự đóng góp của mọi người để có thể ngày càng hoàn thiện và hoàn chỉnh kênh hơn. Mong rằng có thể gặp lại mọi người trong những video tiếp theo. Bye bye.